Good morning and welcome to another
Whoa!
edition.
All sorts of guys coming up.
Tom's blown away. When we went into the cut for the intro, there was nobody here but me and Tom. And then when we came out of it,
we were joking that we were joking that no problem. We'll be able to carry the show because we're both loudmouths.
We're both blabbermouths. So anyway, welcome to another episode
very
of
true,
Lakers
very true.
Spotlight on the Lakerholics weekend. I'm Jamie Sweet. With me today is L. Rob, Michael H, Laker Tom. We got a full house tonight. If this were Vegas, I'd bet on this group. I'd put all my money on. I'd bet all my money against the house, and I'd probably lose because that's how Vegas is designed. Speaking of losing, two important people to the Laker legacy lost their jobs this week, and as a result, okay, let's get into the Buss brothers getting fired here in a minute. It felt like an unnecessary move in this moment in time. It feels like it could have waited until the offseason when it would have just been far less of a distraction.
Or should have been done 3 weeks ago.
Or it could have been done. No, because the sale, I think that,
they waited for the sale.
No, I don't know. We don't know. We don't really know whether this was Jeannie or Mark.
It's Mark. Let's not be. Listen. All right. I'm going to start with what I think. Then we're going to go to L. Rob. Then we'll go to Michael, and then we'll go to you, Tom. Okay. This is what I think happened. I think that once Mark signaled that he would pay an exorbitant sum for the majority controlling share of the team, that made the Buss family members that were on the out say, "This is the time to do this. We're going to sell high. We've got a buyer who we all think will continue on the correct legacy and traditions, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. This is the moment. We're not selling it to like a McCourt who we don't really know, like what happened with the Dodgers, or Artie Moreno who, maybe has a lot of money but doesn't know a thing about the sport. This guy's been around sports. He's shown he can do it with the Dodgers. We're all in on this. It's good for the city.
He's been already partner for 4 years.
And he's been a part of the team he's been a part of the team for quite a long time. He understands the basketball world. Mark, for his part, once you buy the shiny new toy, you want it to be yours. You don't want it to be somebody else's. You don't want it to be, this guy got to step on eggshells around this person. It's yours. It's my ship, and I'm going to start running it the way I want it to be run. The agreement that he had in place was for Jeannie Buss. It feels a little bit like she froze the rest of the family out when it comes to controlling the actual job, the day-to-day management, the functionality of the Laker franchise. And as a result, her brothers lost their jobs, which they had seemed to be preparing for anyhow.
Well, there's a history with her brothers,
Not those two.
Well, it doesn't matter. Brothers.
Not those two. Those two are the good brothers.
I hired 4 brothers now.
Anyway, I'm sure Mark has some brothers he can throw out there. Anyway, so let's start with you, L. Rob. L. Rob, what was your reaction? How did you feel about this when you saw it? Did it bother you? Did it make you excited? What was your
vibe? Pretty neutral. Didn't bother me. Wasn't upset. Wasn't. I don't. Wasn't connected to those guys as much as some of the other. Maybe a Jim. I didn't know much about those guys like you did. Sure. Jim Buss back in the day, and Jeannie. So. Who facilitated it? I don't know, but that's to be expected. When new owners come in, they want their people. So,
agreed.
Could Jeannie have stood up for him if she wasn't the one that actually twisted the knife? I don't think so. I think this is, hey, look, you're happy we made this deal to keep you as governor. Seems like, though, that they would have negotiated them staying on board, too, as part of this whole thing before it was sold. It was like, look, because she made sure she was taken care of. So it seems like they would have got something negotiated where they could stay in, give them a window. Hey, sign me to whatever length of time it is, 2 years or whatever the transition is going to be, as opposed to as soon as we take over, you're out.
Right.
So, that part of it is kind of unfortunate. But, I'm not going to exactly cry over $1 billion in the bank and,
No. And in all fairness, it doesn't sound like they are either. Like if you have a subscription to The Athletic, Joey Buss went on there and spoke glowingly about everything. Like it was just the most positive firing story you could ever possibly hear in your entire life. And I think that the $1 billion in the bank account does a lot to soften any kind of prideful blow.
The big question is how long is Rob on? He's on the clock.
Yeah, well, we'll get to Rob here in a minute. There's a lot to unpack that goes beyond just the family and drama. Michael, what was your vibe on this whole situation?
Well,
nice hat, by the way. Nice hat. It's a cool hat.
Oh, thank you.
I like it.
For the most part, first of all, I read that they were the only two family members that voted no on the sale.
Yeah. Well, because they understood what it implied.
Yeah. But my thing is the timing. I mean, you do not dismantle your scouting department in the middle of the season when college basketball is going on. That is the part that really bothers me because, I mean, we actually have a first-round draft pick this coming year if we decide to use it. I mean, we're pulling. This is one constant that this for the last several years. The one constant in the Laker organization has been their scouting department. They have been uncovering. You got to go way back to Kuzma and Josh Hart getting late first-round picks. Zubac. I mean, you go back, and they were involved then.
Yeah, no, they for many years now.
They've uncovered a lot of talent, and that, I mean, I don't care about the pettiness. I don't care about the politics of it. I just think it's a bad move for the team at this point of the season.
That's fair. Tom, where are you at with this?
I wish I could ask Mark Walter about it.
Well, sure. I'll send him an email and try to get him on the show.
Yeah, it's too bad that the message thing doesn't stay alive all the time. I had a good 1 week conversation with the guy and so forth, but it's kind of funny. Along with this was also the announcement that they've hired 3 new scouts.
Yeah.
And they're bringing over 2 guys from the Dodgers. I'm a Yankee fan, so not familiar with the Dodger executives, but I think they're more top line advisors on setting the franchise up and financially and things of that nature. I don't think they're involved in the.
I can speak on that in a minute, but go ahead and finish your thoughts.
But generally speaking, in listening to Joey's comments and so forth, and I've read them all. He pretty much blames Jeannie for doing it, but he says he hadn't talked to Jeannie in 5 months. What nobody has said here is who told him, who fired him. Did they get an email firing, a text message firing?
Probably an email from HR.
Yeah, an HR firing. I mean,
no. Internet firing. They read it. They read it on their thread.
Yeah,
like when a player gets traded, right?
I mean,
kind of like Luka gets traded, right?
Hey, people don't do moves today like this without thinking of the social media impact of it. I'm almost thinking that
we Nico Harrison, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're right. It's a crazy thing. What I like about the whole situation is that I like Mark Walter taking over now, not next year. Now, I want him to take over now. It's his company.
So who's going to do the scouting?
Well, we did first off, I think that they probably got all of the reports in from everything that's happened before they fired the guy. They're going to get every bit of information that they get. And it's very likely that these guys that they hired have been working for us already.
Well, so let me speak on that. The guy they brought in 2 guys. One is basically his liaison between his what is now can only be called a sport empire. He owns the Dodgers, he owns the Sparks, he owns the Lakers. I don't know if he owns a soccer team in LA, but he's got a Los Angeles sports empire. So I forgot the 2 guys' names. I can look it up here in a minute. One of them is just like his liaison between all of that. He's like the overseer of that umbrella of sport entities. So it's just like, hey, this is what's going on. That kind of a guy. He's not really a nuts and bolts day-to-day in the mix kind of a person. The other guy has been heavily involved in the Dodgers on the analytics side. And he's like a big analytics guy. So that to me is an interesting direction to take things in because this is not currently as built in this moment a real analytics team. It doesn't. It's a team,
and that's what you need around Luka.
Well, we'll talk about that here in a minute too, because that's ultimately all of this is focusing back to one single person, which will end up being Luka Doncic for the next 10 years. So he brought in his manager and he brought in his numbers guy. Those are the two people that he brought in. No scouts. None of these people have any real NBA experience that I'm aware of besides being good at math, which, is a universal skill, I guess, evidently at this point in time when it comes to sport. I've got issues with that, but we'll talk about that in a minute. And the other guy's just like, hey, here's what's going on kind of a guy. So I do think that this actually leaves the Lakers scouting department in a bit of a lurch in the moment now. Whether there's a plan or not to address that, we'll see.
Wait, Jamie. How do I apply for the job where I'm the, hey, this is what's going on type of guy?
I have no idea.
I want that
as soon as I find out, I'm emailing you the link, man. On link, get your LinkedIn ready, everybody. There's a job out there that's like, hey, Mark, the Sparks are doing great. The Dodgers won the World Series. The Lakers are in the middle of their season. Anything else? Great job. Great job, L. Rob. Way to go. It's like the Steinbrenner character on Seinfeld.
The matter is, it's really an issue of trust. Those types of positions are given because the guy believes in the guy who he's giving that authority to.
I have no.
That only happens from working with him for a long time. He's bringing him over to the Lakers because he knows that he can trust what this guy is going to tell him is happening.
They don't even have does. You know what this does? This leaves Jeannie as a figurehead.
Yep,
pretty much. Yeah,
because they're coming over to do Jeannie's job.
And if you read the Ramona Shelburne or saw her talk about this the other day, she was saying that, like, basically at this point in time, if once it hits Jeannie, she goes, "What do you think, Mark?" And so, yeah, I think that's largely true. She is, for lack of a better word, like, the Queen of England or the King of England, a largely symbolic position at this point, and that things will move and shake around her for the most part. And whether that's good or bad will be determined by how things shake out on down the line. I do think it's a little bit concerning to me that Michael brought up a good point. For a team that is draft strapped like we are, we do not have a war chest full of draft picks that we can rely on year after year. In fact, it's like, California reservoirs. Sometimes they're full, sometimes they're empty. Depends on how crazy the weather is that year. And so as a result, you really need to make the most out of them, whether you include them in a trade, whether that you actually make the selection in that year's draft. However they shake out, you really want to get the best for the moment. And the Lakers traditionally have done great on that. The lone exception in the last 10 years, I would say, would be Jalen Hood-Schifino, when the only person who overruled the scouting department was Rob Pelinka. And that's what worries me. That's what concerns me. That old masterclass is now the only one with his hands on the steering, the rudder of the ship, steering this into God knows where, because he's not smart. He's not savvy. He is political. He's great at navigating the waters of politics when it comes to the NBA. He doesn't have relationships with other GMs. He doesn't have relationships with anybody, it sounds like, except for like when he goes running.
He's one of the most disliked GMs.
He's one of the most, he had to work with a guy who got himself fired to get a superstar. Like, and hey, you know what? It worked out for us. And thank you, Nico Harrison. Every year I will thank you for the Luka Doncic trade until such time as he retires.
But they should just hire Nico and just give him a salary.
Please, God, no. Please.
No, not to do anything, just to reward him.
No. Bloodhound 106 says they're transitioning the Lakers into a multi-billion-dollar organization from a mom and pop. I mean, yeah, I think that was always kind of the goal. I'm going to throw that one up there. I think that was always the goal, but I don't necessarily think that means that we have to abandon what works. And I really do feel like the scouting department was one of the things that consistently worked well. Does anybody disagree with that?
As long as the picks were at the end of the draft, it worked well. Their picks when they were taking top 10 people were not good.
They got you AD, which got you a championship.
That's a trade.
Yeah,
those players were drafted by the Lakers. I mean, you could argue that. I mean, I don't know. That's not really a debate we could have.
They could have had Tatum. They could have had Jaylen Brown. They could have had
Well, Magic was the reason why we didn't have Tatum.
Some of those you have to blame Magic for. That was also Magic when Magic was in charge.
That's the whole thing when evaluating the Bus brothers, because they had influence on it, but they weren't the guys making the decisions.
This is true.
They're the guys feeding the information to the guys making the decisions.
This is true. This is a good point.
And and so you can give them a lot of credit and so forth, and it's like being passed the ball with 2 seconds left and you take a 3-pointer. I mean, you're choosing at the end of the lot. You got nothing to lose, only can win. And so they got a few wins, and they did a good job on some.
But here's the thing. I mean, the whole Tatum thing, and definitely Jaylen Brown. Who had Jaylen Brown higher than Lonzo?
Nobody.
Probably most people.
I mean, I don't know if people were like, if you looked at the mock drafts or the boards there, that
you
people
could hardly dribble a ball back then.
The people were screaming, who those guys should be picked, that early.
No, it was Tatum. Tatum was in the ball draft.
Okay, maybe Tatum.
Well, Tatum was the one that they missed.
And Magic was the one that made that call. The scouting department wanted Tatum.
Yeah, he wanted the story. He wanted the story and not the talent.
He said it was a Hollywood story, and now he also finally admitted that it was a bad mistake.
Well, it's also the Michigan picks because of.
Oh, by the way, Jamie, you are Gerald on your.
Who cares that he went to?
Oh yeah, thank you. I always forget to change that.
Who's the Michigan pick, Stein?
Mo,
Mo Wagner.
Mo Wagner was one, and then they just recently took a guy from Michigan.
Where did they get Mo at? I thought he was at the bottom of the first round.
He was like
the end. Yeah.
He was. Yeah, that's about right.
He might have been
late 20s.
He was worth that. Yeah, I mean, he's around the league.
He's turned out to be,
he's turned out to be an 11 to 15 player.
Yeah, if you can get a serviceable player at the end of the first round, that's a good deal.
Yeah, that's all you expect from him.
He's not serviceable until he's gone to 3 or 4 teams and put in 4 or 5 years. And
depends on the player. I think Reeves came in serviceable and he was undrafted. I think Jaquez Jr. would have come in serviceable, but we picked Jalen Hood-Schifino. There are things that and listen, some of this is just
is that something about the 3-letter names? We've had two 3-letter guys that have.
We love a good 3-name guy. I'm just waiting for Karl Anthony Towns to finally be a Laker so that we can get the best 3.
Another one. It isn't that high. Isn't that odd? It's
it is.
And
anyway, I don't see this as being all that. I mean, listen. Evidently, Joey Buss is dealing with
something might have happened that made this thing happen. Because of the timing, it just makes me think that what kicked this off? Why did they decide to do that now?
So I've got a theory on that, and I'll put it to you guys, and we can vote. One is strike the fire while the iron is hot. The team is doing well. There's no I'm serious. The team is doing well, so that will obfuscate any background moves. If we win on Sunday, this is yesterday's news.
We're now the 4th best team in the league, and the 3rd best in the West.
That's right. Well, for now, it's still so early. We're coming up on the quarter poll. We'll get to some quarter poll analysis here in a minute as well. Although I have to leave right at 12 because I'm going to see a play today. So we're gonna wherever we get to at 12 o'clock, we're stopping. So one is this is a great timing because the team is doing well. Everything looks like it's moving in the right direction. No better time to do a weird move than when the optics of everything else look great. The other is you want your new team to get a chance to use the draft pick that we do have. Whoever you're bringing in, and we don't know who that is yet. We don't know where these people are coming from. We don't know if there's going to be a scouting department overhaul, if there's going to be basketball people brought in, analytics-based people, and less basketball. We'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of talent out there. So that's one thing, is that it's either optics are going great, no time like now, or I've got people in mind that I want to give them this no time like the present. Otherwise, you're waiting 2 years because we don't have next year's draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're not really going to get a good chance to evaluate your scouting.
We do have this year. we have this next
No,
year.
this summer's we do. Next summer we don't. So if you keep the Bus Brothers in place,
we gave away,
right?
except
If you
for a
keep,
1 through 4, we still have 1 through 4 of 27.
Yeah, like we're
yeah,
gonna
sure.
get.
Yeah,
Well, it's a tip that you can give to the Jazz if we make a trade.
sure.
Of course, look what happened with the Mavs.
Yeah, I know.
1.5% chance, and they got it.
Well, I really think it's the second one. I think
If that happened with the Lakers, what do you think they do? That'd be a revolt, man.
I think what we're seeing is
Master the league.
what I think we're seeing is Mark saying basically like, I want my guys to get a shot.
Well, he just did get approved by the league. I think that adds a lot of validity to your first theory. I think that,
Yeah, they had to wait for the finalized approval to do
Oh
anything.
yeah, no, there was no doubt.
Yeah, they got the
doubt.
finalized approval, and they probably just did exactly what Jamie just did. Hey, things are going real well now. This shouldn't do anything.
This is a good time to do it. But also, I want my people to get a shot.
Get
Otherwise,
going.
you're waiting. Otherwise, whatever machine you put in place to scout, you're waiting 2 years. If they don't pick this summer,
yeah,
and that's if we keep the pick.
Yeah.
If let's say let's just for argument's sake right now, say we keep the pick. No, I'm not saying we won't trade it. I'm just saying for the sake of debate. Let's say we keep it. This is the time to get your new scouting department in place. College basketball is still going on. There's still FIBA coming. Like you get them a chance to like get some work in. So we'll see. We'll see. Hey, hopefully this works out. I think L. Rob had a great point. None of us know the Bus Brothers. This doesn't affect us directly in any way. They're fine.
I'm just hoping that they have
feel for them. How bad
people
can you
lined
feel
up.
for the
I'm
guy,
just hoping they had people
Come
lined
on.
up.
I do too. We'll find out. We're going to get through Thanksgiving, I think. I don't think we'll hear a lot about any of this through the holiday weekend, although who knows. And then come between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I think we'll hopefully get some other news about guys getting hired, and we'll see what's going on.
It's also interesting that 2 guys did get extensions after the sale had been announced. But
sure. I mean, we'll see how that works out.
Rob Pelinka and JJ Redick.
Though the GM, but GMs and coaches are you're a bad month away from whoop. I don't care how much money's left on your deal. I don't care how many years it's for. Whoop.
So here's the question: does the actions that just happened to the Bus Brothers leaving, does that increase the pressure on Rob Pelinka? Does he really understand that this?
I think he's safe for this season.
And trade deadline could be his last decision.
No. I think he's solid this season into next season. I think that.
So you're going to give him mid-season and off-season.
I don't think there's a chance he gets fired this season.
I don't think that's guaranteed. That I agree he won't get fired this season, but I don't think it's a guarantee that as the day the season is over with, he's removed. I mean, I don't know. Isn't Magic? Isn't Magic good with the new ownership? Isn't Magic getting close? And I don't think him and Rob exactly are golfing buddies these days.
No, that's a good point. Magic
is
quite,
reason. There's a good reason.
That's an interesting angle, L. Rob. L. Rob brings up a really great point. Magic is quite tight with Mark Walters, and they are seeing opposite.
That's been a nightmare hanging around my neck thinking of that might happen. No, here's what's interesting though. That's
a good point though, L. Rob. That's interesting. I've not considered that.
L. Rob brought up a good point that I find fascinating, because there's 2 people that the Lakers have 2 major decisions in a certain sense, and you see these guys come in and buy a team and put their guys in, and they're wanting to do that. And Jeannie sort of made as part of the negotiation that let's give Rob and JJ, a little room there. So give them an extension, so it's a little more expensive to fire them and so forth.
I don't think that was done without Mark Walters' blessing, though.
No, and the thing to remember about Walter that is really important is he's been inside for 4 years. Yeah, he knows all of this stuff.
He's not new to any of this.
Yeah, he's not like a new owner coming in like the guy like Ishbia, and buying the Suns and so forth. So he's an insider in this entire thing. But I'm thinking about LeBron James and Rob Pelinka, and for different reasons, I think neither one of them will be on the Lakers next year unless the Lakers win the championship.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about JJ. I think I
didn't include JJ. I wasn't including JJ.
Oh, okay.
Including Pelinka.
Oh yeah, Pelinka's
running the
on
whole
fire.
basketball operations, and you win a championship or damn well get close to it or something like that.
In light of all of that, maybe this whole
in the case, let me finish. Just in the case of LeBron, it's that $50 million of cap space that they could play with. You know, if he doesn't come back.
All true. What were you going to say, Rob?
No, I was going to say maybe the whole scouting fiasco is a tip of their hand that, hey, we're not keeping this pick. We're willing and dealing, and this is scouting isn't as important this year right now because we're not going to use that pick anyway. We're going to move it, and we're going to, be aggressive.
I can flip that around though, because there's only 5 teams that have a lot of cap space, and the Lakers are going to have $50 million in cap space.
In theory.
In theory. But when you think about when you look at the list of big names and you look at the list of names that the Lakers would like to get, the Herb Joneses and the guys that are young and still and growing up, you need a lot of draft capital to get them. More than 3 picks, really. Maybe 4 picks or 5 picks and so forth. And
new price of doing
how
business.
do you get that? And yet you can go into free agency, and get. There's a bunch of guys that are coming in free agency this year who are pretty good. They're guys that you can get for 20 million, 25 million. Who
less. A few of those are less.
I mean,
none of them are stars. None of them are stars.
What is Keon Ellis? What is Keon Ellis going to get in free agency?
He'll get at least 10, maybe 15.
I'd give him 15, and right now I'd give him 20.
I don't know about 20. Michael, okay, I'd like to pivot away from
20. No problem.
Tom, you're a legendary over-trader and an overpayer, but I love that about you. You're like, I know what I want, and I'm going to.
I always have believed in overpaying. I know you have. I did that in my entire business career. I never.
I don't want to hear about. I don't want to. Don't make me. I believe it. I'm not going to
move on to a new topic.
Yeah, we're moving to a new topic. All right.
So anyway, the point being that there is an alternative for the Lakers than using their picks next year, which is they could go into the free agent market because there's a lot of good quality free agents, and they've got that. If they let LeBron walk, they've got the money to do it, and then they can bring Reeves in afterwards.
Sure. I think that ties back in. I think that ties back into how all of this is going to measure up to the new chief of analytics or whatever this guy's title is going to end up being. I think that's going to determine a lot of things, and that's going to be interesting for players that don't necessarily fit well into an analytic model. Guys like Vanderbilt, guys like Smart, guys who don't do things
like DeAndre Ayton is not a shot blocker either.
That's right. That's just what I'm saying. Does the math win out?
He's not a big shot blocker, but he has a very, very good percentage at the rim.
Well, and and an analytic model is only as good as the information you're putting into it, right? So it depends on what the person is valuing. If they're valuing,
there's also alternatives, because you can, let's say you put a guy like Anthony Davis at power forward next to DeAndre Ayton. That could be a dynamite combination because you get the stretchability and you get the shot blocking, and you can play 2 bigs at once because Ayton is doing a terrific job offensively. I mean, he's like the second or third best percentage in the league now. He's averaging. He's had more 20-point games, 2010 games than before. He is what he is. He is not going to be the guy who's going to block 2 or 3 shots a game.
I'm not talking about any of the players. I'm talking about there's now a person who is running things or part of
and there's going to be a philosophy.
Oh, hold on, let me make a point, please, for the love of God.
Go ahead.
I know you've got a lot of wisdom. Let somebody else speak their piece for a minute. What I'm trying to say here is that there's a guy who's going to be. We don't know who this person is. We don't know what they value. They've been great in making the Dodgers good. I think the Dodgers have largely followed an analytics model, and that's worked out for them to the tune of 2 World Series back-to-back. Also, good morning, Joe Soros. Thanks for hopping on the chat. We don't know. This is all untested waters. Whatever this group that he's bringing in, they've never run a basketball team, so that's new. there's a lot that's going to just be like, we're just going to have to see how it shakes out, and we'll hear news about it, and we'll see what it is, and we'll have to move on, and that'll be great. All right, I want to try. It's already 11:30, so we're gonna move on to another topic. That being the standings. I'd like to talk about the standings for a second. There's some surprises in the standings. There are 2 whole teams that have played 18 games, which is crazy to me. They're almost all the way through they're almost a quarter of the way through their season. Those teams are, not surprisingly, the Cavaliers. No, I'm sorry. The Cavaliers have only played 17 games. What was the team? Oh, the Warriors. The Warriors are the only team that's played 18 games. I thought there was another one. Am I missing one? I guess I'm not. Yeah, there's a lot of 17-game teams. The Warriors have played 18. And at 9-9, they're surprising to me 500. I thought that team would actually kind of hit the ground running a little bit more, especially after we saw how they played on opening night, but then they quickly fell off the wagon after that. The East, it looks nothing like how I thought it would. I thought Detroit would be better. I didn't think they would be this much better. I don't think the Raptors are going to stay at 2. I don't think I just don't see them continuing to play this well, but you never know. And then, I'm not too surprised at seeing like teams like the Cavaliers, the Knicks, the Heat, the 76ers, all kind of middle of the pack. A little surprised to see Milwaukee down there at 8-8. And I'm a little surprised that Chicago is better than Milwaukee in this moment in time. And Orlando is about where I expect them to be as well. And the Hawks without Trae Young are about where I expect them to be as well. The Pistons being first in the East, 13-2, which is just a wonderful winning percentage for them. Great for, L-Rob, you can probably speak a lot. I'm sure you get to see a lot of Pistons games. I'm sure I would like to hear if this was a surprise to you or not. But I'm going to start with Michael real quick. Michael, what is the number one surprise to you in the standings right now?
Well, honestly, Detroit definitely is the most surprising. 13-2. That's just one less. Okay.
Only 15 games compared to 18, 16, 17. A lot of teams have played more games than them. So,
Yeah, but still, that's pretty impressive. I don't think anybody saw it coming.
No.
But it really is, in my opinion, the whole season is moot because there's only one contender, and that's OKC. It's like this. It's OKC, and then everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, to a point.
Yeah, but I would say Detroit would be my number one.
Rob, your thoughts on what is okay? Two-parter. Is Detroit surprising to you this season, or did you feel like this was coming? Maybe not this season, but in the next, within the next year or so. And what's your biggest other surprise if it's not Detroit?
I knew the Pistons would be better. I had really the biggest thing that jumps off the page is Duren. The jump he's made.
Yeah.
Basically he was a alley-oop guy. He was a finisher around the rim, and he was he always set good picks. But now you're seeing him handle the ball 15 feet away from the basket, drive in on guys, back guys down and score. Yeah. He's not committing as many silly fouls. He's really, his grasp of the game he's the biggest reason the team has made that huge jump.
And ironically, he was the first center we went after to trade for last year. He was the first guy they approached.
Yeah. The Pistons, you would not be able to pry him away. And then there's other guys when you got that type of record, guys go down, and Jenkins, somebody you never heard of before, comes in. It's like everybody they put in is really playing their role, and Bickerstaff deserves a lot of credit. So the Pistons are there; they are legit. And Cade is a load. He, when you got a guy like
Cade,
he's
a load, man.
He can get where he wants to go. Basically, you aren't going to stop him. He's going to get. He's in that Luka. That Luka type of game where he's going to get his.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of whether his shot's falling, and you can, how many guys you're going to commit to him to try to slow him down. So, yeah, Pistons. But you know what? Toronto is a surprise. I did not expect Toronto to be as good. Picking up BI.
And that's worked for them.
And he's not really, I think BI is really just now starting to fit in. So they haven't totally figured it out. So, yeah, that is the biggest surprise. And I expected Orlando to kind of make a huge jump. So when they got Bane, I expected them to be better off
They're
the
still
rip.
not shooting well, though. That's their biggest
Yeah,
problem.
I mean, they can't throw it in the ocean, so they've been struggling. So, but
Moses
I mean,
he's probably the
it's
coach that I
early
think
in the
is on the hot
season.
seat.
It's early in the season. No big surprises in the West. Phoenix is playing better than expected.
That's a
And,
big.
I didn't think the Clippers would be this bad.
yeah,
Yeah.
or the Kings. I mean, you figured the Kings would struggle, but for them to be that bad, I mean, they're losing about 30 points every game. I mean, that.
I don't believe
That
the Kings. I've never believed in the Kings.
Well, I didn't believe they would. Yeah, I'm just saying I didn't expect them to just not even be competitive in games now. It's like,
well,
I feel for Doug Christie. That's a tough.
I don't feel that bad for him.
I don't either. I don't like Doug Christie.
No, I don't like Doug Christie either. Tom, what are your surprises so far for the standings in the regular season?
It's really hard to judge because of all of the injuries and and sort of the schedule starts that some of the teams have had that have come back to earth. I almost have to say that the biggest surprise to me is the Lakers being where they are, because I think if you'd told me at the start before the season started that we were going to be 11-4 at this point in time, that we were going to be 11-4 on we won 3 games in a row, 4 games in a row.
3 games in a row.
3 games in a row, 9 of our last 11. Where they have the 3rd best record in the West and the 4th best record in the league. We're off for like 4 or 5 days at the point in time when we can finally practice. We have 14 healthy people for the first time in the season, and we're facing 4 losing teams in a row, 3 more games against losing teams that we should easily win.
Trap games.
So yeah, I know that the whole world is a Laker trap according to by any measure of Jamie's standard now, because everything has been coming up Lakers.
Well,
I mean, we're due to get it. Maybe that's why they fired Joey and Jesse.
I don't know that has any bearing on it.
Just to get the bad mojo out of the way. We're going to go on a winning streak. We'll be a 7-game winning streak in a few days, and
how the scouting department influences that. But all right,
seriously, I mean, when you look at everything, the Lakers survived what should have killed them, and when you survive what should have killed you.
Yeah, I kind of agree with all the injuries we had. LeBron's played 1 game.
Yep.
Luka missed several games. Austin missed several games. Smart missed several games.
Smart didn't really participate in training camp. LeBron didn't participate in training camp, not meaningfully. So no, I mean
it's miraculous that we're where we are. I mean,
I think it's a credit. I think it's a credit to Luka. I think it's a credit to the team, and I think it's a credit to the coaching staff. That for the most part they've had the guys prepared to play.
They play hard. And
they play hard for the most part.
They listen at the end of the season about coming in championship condition.
Atlanta was the exception. I thought from the top down that the team was unprepared and not ready for the road trip. That first game in Atlanta where we got our butts handed to us, I thought that Redick gave up in the 3rd quarter. I thought the team did not show up. Everything about that game was wrong to me. But the ship was quickly righted.
Yeah.
That's all you can ask for. There's going to be games.
There's always going to be those games, and you're absolutely right, Jamie. That when you see the coach, really the next game that the guys have listened, that's a credit both to the coach and to the players that understand that there are times when you really do have to listen to your damn
100%. But I also want for the coach to realize that, like, especially in the modern NBA, going into the 4th down 20, the game's not over. You don't pull your starters. You don't give up a game, especially in the West. You can't just throw games like that. Mm-hmm. I don't care if you're making a point.
Unless you want to make a point.
No, that's it's not a point worth making. When you're looking, if you miss the play-in by half a game, it's not a point worth making.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see.
I think you got to coach by your instincts a lot of the times, and there are times when I've taken a loss just simply to take a loss.
I don't know if there was as much pressure on you as there is on JJ Redick, but
more pressure probably.
Oh, I don't know. Anyway, you know what's surprising to me about this season? That by a country mile, Golden State has almost lapped the league in away games. 12 games on the road to start the season for Golden State.
What happened to starting the season slow so that people would not get hurt and you'd get into your rhythm? And
I don't know where
we used to have. I mean, I grew up with 4-week training camps.
Sure, yeah, me too.
Training camps were really when everything happened, man. Teams totally changed their whole lineups in training camps.
It happened. It went away. That's what happened. It all went away.
God.
And much to, I think, to the detriment of the game, to be honest. I think that
we ought to play 40-minute games in a 72-game season.
I would love 40-minute games.
So, the history and the records. Forget it.
All right, we'll end on this. Actually, this is interesting because I was looking at, I was reading about this the other day. I was looking at ways what would be more likely to shorten the games to what I think would make it the same as FIBA, 10-minute quarters. Change the rules. Just FIBA and NBA should be more in line. Right. It has been a 48-minute game since the inception of the league. It's one of the few things that has never changed. The length of the quarters has always been 12 minutes. The length of the season has changed. Usually it's 82. It's usually changed due to lockouts or, extraneous circumstances, things of that nature. In general, it's always been an 82-game season. But those two things are like the stock standard foundation of the NBA. And that's interesting to me because it makes me think like there's no way it's changing. Because now you're messing with record books. Now you're going to have to be like, well,
but the records are so the generations are so different. The game is so different that you can't compare the stats between generations.
I love this.
Hell with the stats. I say hell with the stats.
Theo NBA fan says there's no need to shorten games. Players will do the same thing. You're probably right.
Theo's right.
Anyway,
but they might play more often because they're not as injured.
All right. Last thing I want to talk about is, and this is a little bit wonky, but we got about 15 minutes. So I'm going to start with Michael. We'll go to Tom, and then we'll end with L. Rob. Things to me that don't necessarily concern me, but when you look at the standings, I've always been a sport fan where I don't really care how you get to the win. The win is the important thing. If you look at the standings, we are third in the West. We are also the team with by far the lowest point differential of any winning team in the West. And the only team with a lower one are the Hawks and the 76ers in the East. We're winning games we're winning games by plus 2.8, and every team around us is either in double digits or or doubling us basically. The only one that's close is the Suns, the plus 5.00. After that, Timberwolves 6, and then it goes to double digits. 10.4 for the Rockets, 11 for the Nuggets, 16.3, which is just absurd. For the Thunder, and that's where I think people are saying like that it's a one team race to the top. When you look at records, it doesn't necessarily indicate that. When you look at point differential, it tells you a different story. It tells you just how dominant the Thunder are on a night to night basis, night in, night out. They're doing it on both ends, whereas the Lakers are squeaking by with a 2.8. Again, the win is the important thing. You just want to get through the regular season with as many wins as you can because it's an 82-game season. Michael, is the Laker point differential or lack thereof a concern to you, or is it something that's going to iron itself out over the course of the season?
Absolutely not a concern because we've been so banged up. We have not been playing all of our guys. I mean, LeBron's played one game, and he's like second team All NBA last year. I mean, he's one of the best players in the league, and he hasn't played.
That's a good point.
Lucas hasn't played. Lucas missed games. Austin missed games. They missed games together, and we won. I mean, it's been because that's why I don't give it much of a. I don't give it much. Yeah, I don't worry too much about it. I'll be more concerned. I want to see what we do when we have a healthy group over a healthy stretch. Then I'll make my determination on that kind of thing. But right now, winning the way we had to win because of so many guys, key players being out, I'm not that concerned.
Tom?
I'm with Michael. I'm not concerned. Our advanced team stats were 11th at this point, 17th and 11th on offense, 17th on defense, and 14th net rating. I actually think that we're in a great position because I think the team going forward is better than the team that did 11-4. And we've got an easier schedule than anybody else. of those teams that are around us. So I think that we're going to hold on to that third spot, and that's where we're going to fight the rest of the season to try to final out at number 3.
Rob?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with what Michael said and LT. I mean, the injuries played a big part in our
we got LeBron now, man.
To squeak by some of those games, so it's not concerning. But usually, at some point, that type of stuff, I mean, it is a good barometer and indicator of point differential is. And at some point, if it continues, then it's going to catch up to you. But, based on where we've been, it's understandable.
We were negative for a good portion of the last, I think 2 games ago was the first time that we had a positive net.
Positive,
yeah.
I think it was
just
a blowout.
started creeping north of 0.
Yeah, I did want to just circle back on the injuries thing, though. I didn't comment on that, and I think I was listening to Eddie Johnson, and he just made a good point. He was like, they don't have a training camp, and guys don't go through a real 30-day training camp and 2-a-days and all that, and then you just start the season without you can't simulate the actual games, and guys get all of these injuries. So,
and that was another thing too at the beginning of the year. Is nobody played together during training camp.
Yeah, agreed. No, I think that's a good point, Rob.
They didn't know each other in the first game.
So you can't changing all of that stuff. That's not the answer. Baseball hasn't changed 9 innings. NFL hasn't changed 60 minutes. It's ludicrous to talk about playing 40 minutes games. Hockey hasn't changed this to
it's not happening.
Go on to 10-minute quarters or 15. I mean, come on.
So to that, Joe Soro had this. I think it's actually a pretty decent idea. Get rid of the stupid NBA Cup. I mean, they won't. It's bank for the league, and so that's not going anywhere. Get rid of the play-in, also not going anywhere. But I like the idea because I kind of hate the play-in, and make the schedule less taxing with travel. Now that I think is doable. I think that you could really, and again, this comes down to like arena scheduling. It's kind of a wonky thing to get in the weeds about. Because no
back-to-backs, man. Just eliminate the back-to-backs.
But that means you're adding like a month to the season.
I don't
care either.
You gotta
put pillows on the court. Then come on, people.
They should put the big computer on there as a way of doing this.
Back-to-backs.
That has to be done.
I don't
Go ahead, play 12 months then, and take 2 days off in between each game.
Well, hell,
here's the thing. Here's the thing about that, though, Rob. You would get a better on-court product. You would get your best players healthier more often, playing at a higher level because they're rested and ready. And so, I don't know. I go back and forth because there's a part of me that's like, why change what has been very entertaining for my entire life? The NBA has been super entertaining, as it basically is, for my entire life.
But right now, if you're going to go to a game that is part of a back-to-back, you are at risk.
You are
because
you could be throwing money away because you're watching
money away.
Yeah, but the same thing would happen. I'm like Theo. The same thing would happen if you gave them more time off. They would still have reasons why. Hey, this guy's got to sit this day.
Not as many reasons because I think
right now, for 5 years from now, it would be boy. I don't buy.
Everybody wants to avoid the back-to-backs. That's the key thing.
YYC has an interesting point. It's clearly the pace of the game. Steve Kerr brought this up the other day where he thinks the pace of the game is affecting injuries. The NBA has conducted multiple studies. We don't know who conducts these studies, but the NBA had them commissioned where they say, oh, no, the schedule and the pairs nothing to do with injuries. Just blah, 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 blah.
When you run more miles in fewer minutes, inevitably you are going to be going faster. And
this season has been an interesting case study in young teams with young players pressing full court at all times for almost the entire game, or they'll switch to a zone. And you could make the argument that this is something that Rick Pitino kind of tried to bring into the league about, I don't know, when was Pitino a coach in Boston? 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago? I forget when.
Yeah, when we had
started that with the Knicks in the 80s.
Yeah, Riles tried it in the 80s, and they would burn out by the end of the season. You burn out your vets. What happens? Your vets just can't keep that pace up. You've got a team full of draft picks that are, all under 25, 28. Sure. there's no better way to stay in the game. Frankly, you have
And
to
you
just
got the picks to keep those 12 guys refreshed every.
you got to be able to go 10, 12 deep easily. But the Lakers aren't that team, and Redick's not that coach. Redick is not somebody who goes 10, 12 deep. He tops out at 9.
And Luka's a slow ball player.
And LeBron doesn't want to push nobody on the Lakers.
LeBron, I think we're going to see LeBron ignite the transition game.
When LeBron rebounds, he takes off.
Luka wants to slow down
in the open court, sure, but like not off of a rebound, not off of like a contested rebound,
but off of a long pass, off of a long lead pass.
Sure. But that's like 4 or 5 plays a game. That's not your default strategy. You're not going to win games being like, well, I hope LeBron is going to be jetting down the court every possession.
Well, I don't know. That's a pretty good weapon. Listen, you're playing 5-on-5. And the shot goes up and LeBron takes off to the other end and Luka gets a rebound?
We'll see. I don't know. My point is that the Lakers are much more built to execute in the half court.
Right.
Ayton is an executor in the half court at an elite level, I think. He's got a great pop from 15, 20 out. He's got great touch around the rim. Players need stretching yoga. Get rid of some of those shoes. Not good for feet. Well, yeah, you know who can tell you about that is Mr. Lonzo Ball. His cement blocks that they tied to his feet that blew out his whole lower body, it would seem like. Don't start your own shoe company. Pro tip. Don't break what works for so many others and think you're going to do it better because you got some guy down the street telling you otherwise. That's modern America. Well, I saw something on YouTube. Anyway, that's another topic. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up here in a minute. Is there anything else anybody wants to talk about? Games on Sunday.
One thing I wanted to mention is I don't know if you guys seen that Chris Paul announced he's retiring at the end of the season.
I saw that.
And I was just wondering if that would have any impact on LeBron at all.
I think LeBron won't retire this year.
I don't think he's going to retire this year.
I think he wants his farewell tour.
I think he wants.
No, I go back and forth on that too. He gave an interview where he was like,
"We better win a championship because he's not coming back unless we do." They want that cap. They want that cap space.
I don't think he's coming back.
Young players.
I think
young players in free agency.
He would come back between 30 and 40 if they said like you can take the first 2 months of the season off, like without putting it in writing, of course. But like a gentleman's agreement to come back.
If they didn't win, I think
if they didn't
win. If they
didn't win, I think there's so much just depends on the season. It's too early to say. But I mean, I think if we get close, I think if we get to the Western Conference Finals or the NBA Finals, I think everybody is safe, and I think it's reasonable to assume.
Close always makes a chance. Close always gives you a chance.
Yeah.
But I think basically the Lakers are committed to moving on because they want to move on, just like Walter wants to move on. It's
but I think I don't know. I go back and forth so much. It's hard to say. I'm not going to say right now.
Because the benefits of moving on it's Luka's team now, man. I mean, I was really
LeBron fits in great.
I was happy that LeBron made sure that Luka got introduced last in that game. That was big. That was a big, important move.
Sure.
To understand
everybody sees that writing on the wall, but I don't know that means that LeBron doesn't want to be here. I think the opposite.
Oh no, I think LeBron wants to be here, but I don't think the Lakers want LeBron unless they win.
Not at 50 mil, but maybe at 35 to 40.
At 30 million, maybe.
35.
So the reason part of why I brought that up is this is just hard. I mean, as an NBA fan, it's hard to see somebody like Chris Paul, as great as he's been, relegated to 10 minutes a game and 2, 3, 4 points and
running around with the second unit, kind of just flailing along.
On a bad team.
And you're on a bad team, like Michael said.
How much did he get paid? How much did he get paid?
That's an interesting point, Rob. I hadn't looked at it that way. I see what you're saying. You're saying that like watching how Chris Paul is ending his career, would that influence, not so much that he's saying it's done.
Oh, influence LBJ?
Yeah.
And LeBron was never going to go out as a, like I hear these things about LeBron coming off.
I'll bet Chris Paul never thought he was going to go out. And I thought,
LeBron James is not going to come off. LeBron James will not come off the bench.
When you put as much time and effort into your craft
season before he will come off the bench.
I'm just going to say this, is if you put as much time and work into your craft as an NBA player does, and you're a superstar, you're a Carmelo Anthony, you're a LeBron James, you're a Chris Paul, you're one of those guys. The end
sneaks up on you.
The end, you don't see the end coming. the end arrives at your house unwelcomed and uninvited, and you're suddenly uncomfortably sharing space with the end.
Unless you're
That's
Jim
how it
Brown or LeBron James.
We'll see. It remains to be seen. It is.
LeBron hasn't reached that point yet. I mean,
No, he's not there yet, but
as far as his game, he may quit, he may retire, but he hasn't reached the point where I think he would leave the game when he felt like he couldn't contribute at a level he wanted to contribute at. Yeah, I think that's when he'll step away.
When he's not a superstar. He was not going to be a non-superstar player.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. On that note, I've got to move on with my day. I'd like to thank L. Rob, Laker Tom, and Michael H. for joining me this afternoon or morning, depending on where you are. I'd like to thank the chat, Joe Soro for rocking it on the chat. Thanks, Joe. And everybody have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Thank you very much.
Aloha.
Go Lakers.
Go Lakers.